You are listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Why do you go to training camp? Because you're allowed to sit in the stands and judge people. That's the whole idea of going to training camp.
Thank you to Linda for that one.
If you feel like this is something you would like to do, you should come to training camp.
Yep.
That's what I believe.
Oh, you guys are so... I'm just like, oh, you're doing so good. This is going to hurt so bad when you get cut.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Riley's in the shotgun, looking downfield, and then throws. It is up in the air to the goal line. Bounces. What a catch! What a catch by Duke Williams! Touchdown, Eskimos! Bryant Mitchell. It's going to be intercepted. Arjun Colhoun. 108 yards to the end zone. Vidal Hazelton.
Welcome back to the Turf District for episode 120 of the Eskimo Empire Podcast, brought to you by United Construction Company. You can find all the good work they do at unitedconstruction.ca. And while you're on the internet, check out eskempire.ca, where you can find a direct link to their page, but also all of our social media and, of course, all of our show links. And as always, we are a proud partner in the Canadian Football Podcast Network. I'm your host, Andrew, and I'm joined, as always, by the one and only Esks First shot, super fan Mike. How you doing, man?
Good. Happy Podiversary.
Yes, thank you. I know, isn't that exciting?
It is.
It's,
3 years today.
3 years today as we're recording this that this little shindig started up.
I remember listening to the first episode.
Do you?
It's changed.
Just a touch.
Yeah, just a bit.
We got a little more technical.
Well, you're not just doing it in the corner of your basement now.
No,
now
it's a better co-host. That's
it's in a room in your basement now. That's it.
That's right. It's a whole room. It's become its own little monster.
It's
fantastic.
So,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, in episode 120, 10 dozen.
I know. Isn't that
Crazy.
great? Yeah.
We can't
That's
name
a new way of putting
anymore.
that. 10 dozen.
Yeah.
Well, we're halfway to 240.
There you go.
He's not exciting?
No.
Okay.
Crickets.
Also here is, of course, our favorite web mistress, Miss Kayla. How are you?
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Multitasking.
I
Sorry.
see that. That's all right. She's
blogging.
She's blogging at the same time. How was your long weekend?
I didn't do anything.
Really?
I hibernate May long.
Okay.
Too many people out and about.
I see.
Mhm.
But you got out to camp today.
Of course.
That's very good.
Yes.
As it should
Just
be.
the right amount of people there.
Oh,
Exactly.
It was perfect.
The good folk, if
Yes.
you will.
The good. I do like that.
Is that a show? I don't know.
It is now.
It is, yeah. We're going to start that podcast next week. All right. So camp is back. We've got a whole bunch to talk about, but let's bring in our guest. You heard him already. Former co-host, but who started this all.
That's
3
true.
years ago, we sat in a corner with one mic
Sounds so sketchy.
and started talking Eskimo football. And let me tell you, it was just as fun then as it is now. So welcome back, Doug.
Thanks, Andrew. Good to be here.
I'm so glad you could be here for this because as I was looking through it, I'm like, when did these start to become available? Like February? No, let's see. It was May 20.
Close to camp,
May
yeah.
20. Ooh, May 21st. I wonder if Doug's available. That's perfect. Yeah. So this is great. So we keep hitting all the downloadable sites somehow. But I do feel that it's appropriate that you're here for this. Tell me how was your off season?
It's been good. Yeah, it was pretty good. Got to kept doing a little bit of broadcasting stuff as always with the U of A. So did Bears and Pandas basketball again, and Golden Bears had a really good season. So that struggled at nationals, but that's another story. But good up to that point. And beyond that, it's been good. Nothing too crazy going on. So
Okay.
it's been nice.
That's all right. It's not. You don't have to be too crazy all the time.
No,
It's okay. That's good.
No, it's me that did a good number on my ankle back in February, so that slows you down pretty fast too. So
What'd you do?
I can't compare.
Tobogganing.
Yeah,
that's what I was waiting for. Tobogganing, yeah.
Just playing basketball. So
roll off or brutal.
So it slows you down a bit. But
It does.
I'm speaking to the guy who unfortunately knows that better than I do. So
That's all right. That's all right. Hey, we all. It doesn't mean that yours is any less because I've rolled my ankle like that before. It's not fun. Not fun at all. All right, well, let's get into it, guys. We got lots of Esks news to talk about. We might as well start with that. I do want to roll back to right since our last recording. The Eskimos had their annual general meeting shortly after that, and they did show a $430,000 profit this year,
Right.
which is pretty impressive when you think that they had a $1.1 million injury bill, which is over double what it usually is.
That's insane.
Like that, I thought that was actually pretty impressive overall. But
And stayed within the cap.
absolutely. But out of that, and I guess probably the bigger news for us sitting here as fans, is the extension of both Sunderland and Moss.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that, Superfan?
Well, I mean, it's great to have the continuity, for sure. When you don't have to leave them as lame duck GM and coach that final year of the contract, they know they've got the support of the board for Brock, and then, of course, Moss has the support of Brock. It's always a sketchy thing when you have a GM coming in partway through your tenure as a coach. A lot of GMs come in like to bring in their own people, but fortunately, since Brock was there in Ottawa with Moss, they had a pretty good relationship. So.
It was like his guy was already here for him, so
exactly.
it's kind of nice.
So I think it's great. I think Moss has shown that he deserves that extension, and after all that Brock went through in the last year, I think we definitely got to give him that vote of confidence.
Absolutely. Doug, your thoughts on those two?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Mike said. I think the continuity piece is so key, especially in a league that isn't built on continuity as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So having someone that has been in a spot to see where things are at and can understand, guys he thinks are going to be around for a while, guys he thinks are going to be moving on.
Yeah.
So I think it makes a huge difference, as you said, Mike. And the Moss thing too, I think we've seen him evolve as a coach. I mean, I know we all had some issues as to what happened in the Western Final.
Sure.
So, but again, those
Motorola's really happy he got extended. Yeah, that's good.
That's right. Exactly. But I think we've seen that evolution where hopefully those kind of things, I mean, he's always fiery. We know that's not going to change, but coaches need to learn. It takes time to figure out how to adapt to certain situations. And I think Moss is a smart guy. He proved that when he was a player. So I think the extensions, as we said, make complete sense.
Yeah, well, and he was out there throwing the ball today at camp, and it's like, wow, you could still chuck that real good. Holy man, I tell you,
zip on it.
That would hurt my fingers catching that. Anyway, Kayla, your thoughts, Sunderland and Moss?
I mean, there's not a lot to say after these two, and it's pretty relevant to have guys that are going to actually continue to produce for this team. And I always look at Calgary not as far as playoffs, but just as far as regular season. Why are they so good? Consistency.
Yes.
When you have a good team, you keep a good team and you build from that team. And you can't really, I don't think you can really judge like 2, maybe 3 years. I think you need a little bit longer. But because Jason Moss and Brock, they both have put together a pretty remarkable team apart from Ed's departure and kept it going and kept strong and kept the Eskimos in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That says something. It's not a Grey Cup victory, but we're getting there.
We're getting closer, absolutely. Yeah. And I would agree with everything you guys said. And I think with Sunderland having to maneuver around all of the injuries last year, he showed that he can do the GM position. But I think the biggest thing for me, as I was talking about this with other people, they both have kind of embodied that Eskimo way.
Yeah.
I like Brock is very open, very community-minded, but he's getting the best guys at the best deals to make sure that this team is competitive. And he's putting the guys on the field that then Moss is saying, well, yeah, I want to sign the extension because you're giving me the product that is I can turn into something that's going to be good. So I really like that combination of the two of them. I was really happy with the extension of both of them for sure.
And definitely the appreciation of the fans too is a big step forward.
Absolutely.
And this community-minded football team, you can't block out what is so valued, which is the fans.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, Brock.
Yes. Well put, Kayla. All right, now as we went through the other 2 weeks, we had a couple of shockers. Starting with the retirement of Daquan Bowers.
Right before camp opens.
That one kind of took me by surprise.
Yeah, until you really hear the story behind it, you just start wondering, did he fail his physical? Was there a problem there? He was very excited about coming to camp, talking to both reporters and other people that have talked to him, both players and fans. But to find out that he has an opportunity to coach at his alma mater, Clemson, it's an opportunity that, you really can't turn down. And Sunderland did say yesterday or today that, you're not going to stand in his way of something like that. I mean, these
Absolutely.
are positional coaches are making $300,000 a year.
Yeah.
With the possibility of building your coaching resume. I mean, football careers are short, so if you have an opportunity post-football and you can take it, in the CFL, you have to let them.
Yeah, exactly. But it was still kind of without we had lined that up, especially once we lost Cummings and all these types of things, we figured that was the next guy in line. So that was kind of surprising. Not as surprising, I guess, was Simeon Rotier retiring.
Right.
A little bit, but not as. And we knew it would be
a lot of injuries
coming.
that happened the last little bit and didn't play as much in 2017. So
exactly. Doug, what do you think about the retirements?
Yeah, I mean, the Clemson thing, I think that's when you find that out as the reason. I mean, They've been to back-to-back national championships, won 2 years ago. I mean, Clemson is a football power.
Yes.
You get the chance to go back and be
and it's your university.
That's right, exactly. So I think that one, when you find the story out, it makes complete sense. The Rotier one, I think that was... I always find with these things, it's a bit surprising. If you'd said, it wouldn't have shocked me if in December Simeon Rotier announced his retirement.
Absolutely.
It's always interesting to me how these things kind of go along, and you hope behind the scenes, I'm sure that's the case, that there is regular communication, and that I don't think Sunderland, from what I saw, was overly shocked by that.
That one,
So you hope there's that communication that goes on, because it always seems odd to me that it's like the day before, no, I'm okay, I'm good.
I think in that case, though, it's because they're starting to prep for camp, and all of a sudden you realize your body isn't responding, right?
Yeah,
so maybe that's why it's
I think that's probably true. So that one was less surprising, I would say, than the Bowers one for sure.
Yeah, okay. And I would agree with that. Now, I want to stick with retirements for 1 second, and then we'll come back to some of the cuts that happened. And I know this isn't Eskimo related, but I just got to bring it up. So Darian Durant retires last week, taking his $70,000 signing bonus. Kayla, I want to get your opinion first on this one. What do you think do you think he should give it back? Do you think that it's his? Or how do you feel about that whole retirement and how it left the Bombers?
That's his. Sorry. That is his.
Yeah.
If the CFL wants to play that game with the players have every right to play that game with the CFL. It's his. Sorry.
Yeah.
You want to screw over my AD? Oh boy, Darian, you go take your cash and you run. Good boy. Fair's fair.
See, I knew that's why I wanted to ask you.
Fair's fair in my opinion.
Doug, what do you think about that situation?
Completely agree with Kayla. I mean, it's his money, and again, teams do it all the time.
Yes.
But I did not at all like the way Darian Durant handled it after.
Right.
I thought that was frankly embarrassing, the way he was handling it. I mean, he, just as quickly as he announced retirement, he's got his Rider hat back on. He's dumping all over Bomber fans. I'm like, so where was your head in this whole thing in the first place? So I lost a ton of respect for Darian Durant, not because of the money, but because of the way that he handled it. I mean, that's the kind of thing. Just shut up. Right. Just get out of there, get out of town, and be done. He couldn't do that, and that, for me, was the part that I'm like, Darian, you made a huge mistake.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a signing bonus. It's not a performance bonus.
Absolutely.
If you come to this club, I'm sure they sold a bunch of Durant kind of stuff, which in retrospect people may not want now.
Possibly.
If you're a Bomber fan. But, I mean, the whole point was it attracted a lot of buzz to the team. Maybe it helped get other free agents there, having Durant as a backup. So I think he definitely can say that it was worth the $70,000 to give that a shot. He had to think that there was a possibility of retirement at that point. Backup quarterbacks don't make that much money.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, even $70,000 guaranteed, and then what's he playing for at that point? So, I, like Doug said, though, I just don't like the way it was handled after, saying that I deserved it, and then attacking fans that were disagreeing with that.
Yeah, that part I did have a rough go.
Yeah,
that's a very Rider thing to do, though.
That's, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of, and it's funny because as soon as I read it, the first thing that I thought of was, well, there's once a Rider, always a Rider.
Sticking it to the Bombers one more time.
But I mean, I don't believe it was an elaborate plan to do that.
No.
But I do think that you're right. Like the handling of it afterwards was not the best way to go about it, for sure. I do think it's really, really hilarious that the Eskimos' first home opener game, they're seeding the 50-50 at $70,000. That was pretty. If that game was against the Bombers, it would be really
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be that. To me, it's a little bit funny, but anyway, that's a whole other topic that we could talk about another time. All right, let's get into some of the releases that were a bit of a surprise.
Wow.
Of course, poor Mike. I know
not one but two.
Two tiers for that one.
Yes.
Yeah. But I am going to start with you this time, Doug. John White and Ladarius Perkins released after medicals on the Saturday. Both of them supposedly passing medicals, but both being cut from the team.
Definitely a surprise. I heard Morley Scott say he was probably more surprised, and I would agree with this, more surprised by the fact they signed John White than the fact they released him yesterday.
Yes.
So it was really odd to me that they brought him back. I wasn't really we've seen that before. Platooning running backs rarely works, especially with a workhorse like a Gable. Like that, it just didn't seem to line up to me.
Seemed okay in BC when they had the two running backs.
Yeah, you're right. There are situations that work, but I think more often than not it doesn't tend to work.
The exception that proves the rule more than the rule.
So but again, back to what I said before, a little surprised that all of a sudden here we are, camp starts and he's gone.
Yep.
I mean, there probably are other reasons for
Yes.
it. And then the Perkins one, I mean, I wasn't blown away by Ladarius Perkins last year. He was pretty serviceable, so I have to think they've got someone that they can be equally serviceable, if not better. And whether it's Shaq Cooper or whoever, I mean, Robinson was pretty decent today, I thought.
Alex Taylor, I thought was really good.
He's very good too, and I know from, having heard from my Western grapevine that Alex Taylor there's a good reason to be pretty high on him too.
Okay.
I was a little surprised this late again, but again, probably underlying circumstances that we may never really know about.
Well, you have to wonder when it's right at the start of camp. I mean, they're not going to have much chance to go to another camp at this point.
No, that's right.
So you have to wonder what happened during the physical. So they passed, but did they pass health-wise, but maybe they're just not ready? Who knows?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just have to put your trust into the powers that be and figure that they know better than we do.
I guess I would agree with you in the fact that watching over the last couple of days, Shaq Cooper is something that we got to keep our eye on for sure, and that might be part of the reason. And definitely Robinson today didn't look out of place, and today's his first day.
Yep.
So, and we have another guy, Corliss.
Yeah, Corliss, he didn't...
last name, right? He did. He's suspended right now. So I'm assuming that's likely something where it's a passport issue or a family issue where he couldn't actually get...
Corliss Marshall.
There you go, Corliss Marshall. So we do have another running back coming. And Brock kind of hinted as well that there was another defensive line guy coming
Hopefully a heavy guy, because we're very light on that defensive line right now.
Yeah, which is
like even Mondo's lost weight. So
yeah, exactly. But he's gained muscle.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Say that again, Kayla.
Oh, he looks great though.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
That's good. Yeah.
Well formed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I like.
He might get lots of applause by the offensive lines that he faces. You know.
Possibly. Yeah. Kayla, on the fan side of things, there's obviously a big uproar with John Wright getting released. Did that kind of take you off guard, or?
I think more with both, like everything else. You kind of figure one is going to go. My only issue is I just want to see him compete.
Yeah,
I want the best, and you get the best by letting everyone compete. And so if they did pass their medicals, there must have been something way out of left field that allowed that to happen. I don't know why, but I wanted to see a good running back battle, especially when we need a returner so bad too. To fill that position, you never know. Someone could have shined for that. Like, I know Jamel looked really good today, in my opinion. Like he had pretty good ball security. He was very quick on his feet. Good dodging.
Nice.
Do you know who was actually returning punts yesterday? Brian Mitchell.
Oh, really? No, don't do the Zylstra effect. No. Unless he actually returns it, or if he's just like Zylstra and freezes, like, don't hurt me.
Yeah. Grab it, fall down.
But yeah, just let him compete. That's my biggest thing. Like, I get we're not going to know, but why they let him go. But I just let him compete. There's camp for a reason.
Yeah. Well, and that's maybe why they want to see these other guys too.
There's also limited spots, right? You're only allowed to have X number of players. So if all of a sudden you're like, okay, we know we've gotten Gable. We're really high on Shaq Cooper, and again, maybe some of the new guys are bringing in.
Yeah, Alex Taylor, like you said. Yeah.
So maybe they're like, all right, well, we have to let somebody go. I was probably more surprised by cutting Perkins.
Yes.
I'd have a backup behind Gable that knows the system, that is willing to take backup money. That's what kind of surprised me. So who knows? Again, may have passed the physical, but they're like, okay, he's very fragile. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right. So
absolutely,
it is what it is, and it's done now. So let's just see what we've got going forward. And who knows what could happen in the future if somebody gets injured? Maybe someone can be a first call up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we did do quite a bit of signings. Obviously, all 8 of our 2018 draft class were all
Announced
signed
all at once, which is great.
All there, which was fantastic. Offensive lineman Tommy Draheim that we already talked about. Defensive lineman Gerald Rivers, who has stood out a little bit today. He's got some speed for sure.
Yeah.
And national running back Amoa. Wide receiver Miles Schuler, and we already talked about the running back Jordan Robinson. So, and he was doing some kicker returning today as well. Like I saw him.
Yeah, another guy is Kevin Lucas,
right.
Number 72 receiver and returner.
Yeah,
and I thought he was doing really well as well as both returning.
But
He's super fast.
I thought the guys around us had cut him already.
No, that was 72.
Okay.
71 hadn't been cut.
All right, okay. Just double checking.
We're just sitting up there passing judgment on people.
That's right. That's the best part. So, like, people, if you ever, why do you go to training camp? Because you're allowed to sit in the stands and judge people. That's the whole idea of going to training camp.
Thank you to Linda for that one.
If you feel like this is something you would like to do, you should come to training camp.
Yep.
That's what I believe.
Oh, you guys are so. I'm just like, oh, you're doing so good. This is gonna hurt so bad when you get cut.
Nice.
Celeste knows what I'm talking about. We had this conversation.
We're very brittle back there. It's like, nope, cut.
Yeah, nope, that's it.
13 guy out of there.
Yeah, we just sit up at the top and laugh and cut people. You're gone. Sorry. Yeah. What the heck? Yeah. The interception. You're done. Yeah. All right. So now let's talk about the actual training camp. We talked a bit about it on Periscope, but Doug, who jumped out for you today? Who was exciting, and who do you think is maybe taking possibly a step back or didn't match what you were thinking for?
Yeah, well, I mean, like we said on the Periscope, I was fine the first couple of days. It's just there's so many players. It's just tough to get a real read on people unless you really just pick a few and start to watch them. So I know Kayla's happy with this. I did think Brent Mitchell was really good today. Thought he played pretty well. Yeah. So I was brought in just maybe to say that.
Nice.
I thought he played really well, and again, we all expect him to be a starter. So I think that's a positive. One guy I didn't mention the Periscope that I thought played well was Onyeka. I was actually impressed with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once we figured out who he was.
Yeah.
Which number is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I think we need to bring that up. That might actually turn my opinion around of the number 23.
23.
Well, yesterday it was 46, and then we thought maybe it's 40, and
yeah, now it's 23.
Yeah.
To make that number proud.
Exactly.
Onyeka. Yeah.
There you go. But he, I mean, again, a couple times he was in. I was impressed. His cover skills for sure, and they talked about that.
Good football smarts, I thought.
Absolutely. And then the one thing I also didn't mention, which is more general, and I don't know if this is just, early couple days of camp, let's see, but my one beef with the Mike Benevides defense has been how passive it's been.
Mm-hmm.
It was not that today.
No, it was very aggressive.
If that is something that we're going to see more of, I think that is a huge, huge step in terms of where the team could go. Because, again, I just don't believe in today's day and age you can win with a four-man rush and everyone else just sit in coverage and hope that a quarterback can't read a zone to make a play. That just doesn't work anymore.
No.
And we've seen that a bit the last couple of years under Benavides. So it's early, but if that's a sign of this team looking to be a little more assertive, a little more aggressive, I think that's enormous for where this team could potentially go.
As I mentioned on the Periscope, I watched the lines a lot, especially the defensive line. Loved seeing the push that Mackey was getting, our favorite milk truck.
Yes.
I thought he had a great day today, a really solid day yesterday as well. And then again, obviously watching the defensive ends with the going to a youth movement. Darius Allen had a great day.
Amazing.
As did our favorite Kwaku Boateng. I thought both had really solid days today. And as well yesterday. Darius had...
I agree.
He's our lone Darius left.
He's the last of the Darii.
He's the last of the Darius. Again, there's a show in there somewhere.
I'm sure there is. Or a t-shirt anyway.
And then we were talking about it in our group, sitting back watching this. If you look at the defensive backfield last year compared to this year, we're miles ahead of where we were last year.
Yeah.
So that gives us certainly a lot of hope and optimism going into 2018.
There's just so much going on in the field. My geek nerdy synapses were just going crazy. I was sitting there shaking
Ooh, yeah. It's different when it's your first day back.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But I really, because I had all the running backs right in front of me, I was definitely watching Shaq just because I wanted to see why this guy is causing such a stir. And he's quick. He's very quick. And every time I saw him do a play, the coaches would be like, blah, 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 and then do the pat on the back. I'm like, okay, that's good. We're doing good. All right. Awesome. Good news. So watching him, that was kind of there's only so much you can see, right, in training camp, but that's a good sign right there. And then, like I said, too, with Jamil Smith.
Jimismo.
Jadarius, because he's wearing number 4.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. What a height difference. I'm just going to say it.
Or, Foeman.
Foeman, that's right, yes. Yes. We'll talk about Fodell soon. Yeah.
But I don't know, there's just so much, like, I could only pull my focus in so many directions, but, seeing the D-line actually coming out strong in camp, having 4 picks, for me, that's a good sign, a good start for something that we were a little worried about that might be lacking. The O-line is still a big question mark for me. We'll see. I think game day is the only real time that we're going to actually know, because no padding, no tackles, nothing like that. There's only so much that you can bet on.
That's true. They did open some massive holes for Alex Taylor today.
Yeah.
Like, he was running through, like, 3 guy wide holes.
Yeah.
32.
I was actually really impressed with some of those. I mean, I understand it's not full content on for ads, but exactly, even now. And that's telling you something.
We're timing.
They had lots of space to get through. So they were opening some really big holes for them.
Yeah. So I'm very excited to see. I'm very optimistic. Let's just put it
I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay, I'll just give my boy a shout out. Oh, Brian, you did great, son. Sorry.
That's awesome. I thought co-host Kenny Stafford had a wonderful day today.
Yes.
He was catching everything that got close to him, even if he was in tight coverage.
Yeah.
And he caught a beautiful long bomb that he had to slow up to catch, and then took off to the end zone. That was easily a 45-yard toss. And he was wide open. So I got to give our co-host some love there. We were talking about it before. Wearing number 41 is Monshadrick Hunter, or Money Hunter, as he is known on Twitter.
Monshadrick, French for my Shadrick.
Absolutely, yes. And but he was. I'm sorry, man, but you were deemed Fodell because you're wearing 41, FAUXDELL. But anyway, that we did have a couple of laughs with that. I do want to say that I thought Woodman kind of stood out for me today. Which that's a step forward for him. Last year there wasn't as much of that, but he seems like he's really got some extra speed on him this year.
It takes a while for some people to get in those positions.
Yeah,
so I was. Pick.
He did, and it was a beauty too. He jumped the line perfectly. So I do want to give him some credit for sure. I want to give the coaches some credit though. Because one thing that they are doing this year that I was so impressed by is when there is a penalty, the entire team does push-ups.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Every last person.
Everyone's responsible for each other.
Yeah. One person blows it, goes offside, everybody is doing push-ups. And I was sitting in the stands giddy. Like, I thought that finally there's actual repressions.
Accountability.
Exactly. Yeah. Go up to your guy and say, don't do it, because this is consequence. We're not in Montreal, but it's but that's just I loved that was happening. I thought that was really good, and I did like, although it is totally different where they used to do the lines in the field for doing the stretching and doing all those types of things. Now they're all lining up on yard lines, and everybody's kind of tighter together, kind of bring that team closer together. Yeah. So
rookies are here, second years guys.
That's right. So I thought that was actually kind of cool to see. So just little things that are happening in camp, but I think those things can have payoff as we go forward.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. All I can see you though is like push-ups for everybody.
Okay, and special shout out to Bryant Mitchell, because yesterday the first punt he went to catch, he dropped.
Yep.
And 10 seconds later, he was over doing push-ups. You can tell he listens. That's right. Push-ups for you, man. Oh, man. So, it's lots of exciting things. Of course, camp is going on throughout the week. I think I'll be back there a couple of times this week before the preseason game. So
yeah, I think we'll be there
take a day
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday. So
okay.
Are they?
Well, Sunday's the game day.
Is it Saturday?
Saturday's the walkthrough.
Just the walk.
Saturday's a walkthrough, yes. So,
Friday's a short day. Like it's 40
like an hour.
minutes.
Yeah, it's not even. Yeah,
A couple, 2 days. Is it two days this week or just one?
Well,
I think there's
Tuesday
3.
for sure.
Tuesday, Thursday, and Wednesday, I think.
Or
it's
all 2 days?
I think so.
And then tomorrow's the first day with pads. So
Yeah, so.
Oh no, I am sick.
Nice.
coming down with the green and gold flu.
That's right. Well, let's take a really quick break here, and we will come back with our Esks history moment. Some setup, of course, for our preseason game, and, of course, a little bit of preseason pick'em.
Hey, this is Jed Roberts, and you're listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast. The Eskimo Empire Podcast is brought to you by United Construction Company. As a full-service commercial general contractor, United Construction Company serves large and small-scale commercial, light industrial, and multifamily residential construction projects across Western Canada. UCC is a relationship-focused builder, forming a trust and respect that is at the forefront of their commitment to quality, value, and integrity. Visit their website at unitedconstruction.ca to find out more and support them as they support the Empire.
You can join the Empire online. Find us at sempire.ca. All of our social channels are there. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, plus our blogs, extra pics, and the link to our Patreon page. You can also get more history at S History on Twitter and This Day in S History on Facebook. From the Empire team, thanks again for listening. Now let's get back to the show.
Welcome back. It is time again for the Esks history moment.
Let's hear you cheer and holler for a mighty famous team. Let's hear you roar, you know what, for a team that's on the beat. Our voices rise up to the skies, the fans are glad to scream. We love those Eskimos.
Playing in the 70th year as the Eskimos since rejoining the league in 1949, we wanted to look back at some of the origins of the team during that first year. So many know that the green and gold colors were bestowed upon the fledgling entry into the league by the University of Alberta, who were mothballing their football club as they were kind of without competition for the 49 season, because university football in the West was kind of waning. The university dominated the rest of the competition. They really only played Saskatchewan in 1948, so the fall of 48. So at that point, they closed it. Maury Van Vliet, who was the head coach, donated the uniforms to the new startup team, and that's why we wear green and gold. So many of the 48 Golden Bear team did come along with the uniforms, including future Premier Peter Lougheed, and the team secured a head coach in February of that year after Anis Stukas agreed to lead the football squad, bringing along little brother Bill Stukas to quarterback the team. But after all of this, the team didn't officially have a name. So several names were debated, and the two local papers of the time had their own favorites. The Edmonton Bulletin, which had been losing ground to the Journal as the newspaper of choice, preferred the team name Oilers to represent the oil-rich nature of the northern part of the province. The Journal preferred to go with tradition and back to the Eskimos, as so many previous incarnations of senior football had flown that flag with varying results. So the very first time Edmontonians would get to see the new club in action was on May 20th, 1949, so 69 years ago yesterday, as the first inter-squad game featured the former U of A coach Jerry Seawright leading his gold team over new import running back Earl Elsie's white squad to the blistering tune of a 4-0 win.
Ooh, sounds exciting.
Yeah, I know. We gave them the whole seat. They only need the edge. So it was a punt single in the first quarter, a second rouge in the third, and then a 2-point safety to round up the scoring.
Ooh.
So just imagine how much the fans were on the edge of their seats watching that.
Defensive battle.
So what also happened at this unveiling of the new players was a special vote where the fans who had joined the Touchdown Club had their say in what to name the new team and voted overwhelmingly to call the team Eskimos. And, of course, that name has stuck ever since. So those on the lesser side of the vote believe that the word Eskimos represented a losing tradition because teams that had been playing under that name had long been on the wrong end of the scoreboard year after year, culminating in a winless season in their second last season before that reformation. So the vast majority, though, believed the name was steeped in tradition and pointed to the hardy nature of the team and the citizens of Edmonton, and they've worn the name with pride ever since. And as the song says, we'll tell the world we're proud of Edmonton and the Edmonton Eskimos.
When we're done, we'll tell the world we're proud of Edmonton and the Edmonton Eskimos.
Ooh, that's a nice wrap-up,
There you
Superfan.
go.
That's 2 weeks in a row with a nice ending. I like
know,
that.
Just setting the bar high for
I
next week.
tell you, next week it's better be gold.
Next week it's going to be like, there's this guy, Tom Wilkinson, who's good.
Okay. He was all right. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's. I do want to talk about one other CFL story here before we start talking about the preseason game this coming Sunday. So, as training camps open,
Yeah.
Hamilton announces it has signed Johnny Football.
Don't know.
Nope.
Nope. Don't ring a bell.
No? Okay.
I
Well,
have not
Doug.
heard this information.
Okay. Well, you know what?
Brand
The
new information.
thing is that like I'd never heard of him before that. I really had to
Really?
look
Actually?
into it. Yeah. I know, it was crazy.
Cleveland, yeah.
Yeah. What?
Cleveland. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Doug, give me your impression on this, because I think I personally think it's a bit of a two-headed monster as far as an argument for and against. I can see both sides, but where do you kind of stand on this news?
I mean, I think it was the worst kept secret around that Manziel was
Don't say.
likely going to sign, but
We knew that for 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
you know, I mean, we've all, as fans, we've all seen this for years. This happens, you know, every few years there's a big name that ends up signing to resurrect a career, or
Vince
who knows,
Ferragamo.
Vince Ferragamo's of the world, Tom Cousineau's.
Billy
Actually,
White Shoes Johnson.
as a side note, I met Tom Cousineau. We were actually
nice.
in a master's program together in Ohio briefly. That's a whole
really?
side note.
That's
but
cool.
That was kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to have Manziel here. I think the expectations for a guy like him, I think, always need to be tempered. It's actually kind of interesting looking at Twitter and even seeing some American commentators. I think very slowly people are starting to understand that what this league is about, and that guys aren't going to show up here. Manziel's not going to throw for 4,500 yards and 38 touchdowns and waltz back to the NFL next year. So I think there's an understanding that he could be very good up here. I mean, he can run. He's got a strong arm. Can he read the play well enough at a pro level?
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
Sure.
He was able to use his feet pretty well at Texas A&M. I mean, that helped him, you know, and the strong arm helped him get to
Good in
win
the
the Heisman. Yeah, but it could be good for him. But it's so different than you think about a guy like a Flutie, who came up and did bide his time a little bit in 1990 with the Lions before he took over. And I mean, we know where that went. And I think Flutie also came in with a completely different mentality. I don't think he thought that he was turning around going back to the NFL.
Right.
And we don't know if we know that Manziel would like to do that, but what his time frame is, who knows? I guess I'm blabbing here.
According to the league, it better be 2 years.
Yeah, well, and I think that's how it probably should be for him, because I don't think he's going to step in and start.
Yes.
I don't think that's reasonable. But I think he can be good up here. It's a matter of where his head's at, and can his innate ability translate to what is not an easy league for quarterbacks. And I think that's the part that people often, especially south of the border, overlook as players come up here.
Absolutely. Kayla, how did you feel about this? Because I know we've talked about it before, but
it's simple. I do not care.
Okay, that's easy. Okay,
Just if you can play, cool. I don't care. Prove yourself.
Yes,
That's all. I don't care. Yeah.
okay, perfect. That's an easy answer. All right, super fan.
Oh,
I know you're torn. That's why
I'm torn. I think that it's turned into such a circus over the last little bit that having Johnny Football play, I mean, just the fact he's given himself this name, Johnny Football, as well. To me, for barring anything else about the guy, is what's his attitude going to be coming to this league? Is he going to put the time in? Because one thing Doug Flutie did is he studied and he learned the game. He was a true student of the position and of the game, and embraced the differences in the CFL versus the NFL. Didn't just sort of think, well, I'm starting on second down. And
right.
Just, but so we will see. I don't know that he has necessarily got the maturity yet. He's saying the right things now, whether that's through him or through his handlers, I don't know. But like Kayla says, I don't care. At this point, just we're getting some attention in the league. That's great. But how much is that going to help if he just is terrible?
Right.
So if he can sit behind Masoli, learn the game, is willing to put in that time and that effort to be a great CFL-type quarterback, then we'll see something out of him. But otherwise, he's just going to be another footnote. And honestly, I think if he would have been playing for a different team, we wouldn't have heard nearly as much about him. The fact he's playing for Hamilton is why we're hearing a lot, especially if you follow 3 Down Nation.
Right.
Because they are Hamilton people, he's getting a little more press than if he would have been going to, say, Winnipeg.
Possibly. I do think... Now I am actually torn on this because I do believe in second chances. Sure. And I do believe that if I agree with you, if he comes up here with the right mindset to take the time to learn the game, because the game is different. If he's prepared to do that, then I'd be prepared to support him as a fan. Now, on the other hand, I'm glad it's not my team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of where I fall on it. I guess the biggest thing for me is that I think it will bring some eyes that haven't normally watched the CFL, and I hope that will open their eyes as well to this is talented league with guys who are amazing players. The game is different, but it kind of breeds a different type of player.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that will help a little bit, only just because of the name, because the name is well known, right? That's all I.
So was Ricky Williams, and he had his 1 year with the Argos.
Right, and he didn't do much. So again, did he take the time to?
I think so. I think the position also translates a little easier to the CFL than the quarterback position. For sure.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Well, I think too. I mean, to your point, Mike, about the fact that a lot of this is driven out of Hamilton, but actually, interestingly, a lot of this. Because he's a Heisman winner, a lot of this, the buzz about this actually isn't even Canadian driven. It's in the U.S. where they're just curious if this guy's ever going to turn himself around.
Right.
And the CFL just happens to play a bit part in all of this right now because they're so. I mean, it was not a whole lot different with Ricky Williams either. I mean, other Heisman winner. I mean, so that puts you on a different plane in the U.S. in terms of they're going to follow you for a long time, no matter what you do. And I think that's something that's maybe driving this a little bit differently. But
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care if they watch more CFL because of this or not. I mean, watch the game because it's a good game to watch, whether Joey Manziel's here or not. To what you both said, that part I definitely don't care about.
Yeah. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, that's kind of what I was. That's kind of what I was thinking was going to happen, but I was just curious on that. All right, let's get into our preseason game. We have a game to talk about.
Praise the Lord!
Oh, it's so exciting. The Riders are in town for a 3 p.m. start time on the brick field at Commonwealth Stadium. So let's start with this, Doug. What do you kind of watch for in a preseason game?
It's probably a couple things. I think one is looking at the guys we expect to be starters and trying to see where they're at individually and where the units are at gelling as a whole. I think, and you talked Mike, about the O&D lines. I think things like that. That's what I look for. Yeah. And then kind of as a side is looking to see are there any other players that stand up enough that they're going to be guys I want to watch in week 2. Right. I think that's maybe what I tend to look for. I mean, the first preseason game is always a crapshoot. You've got so many bodies, and you're, 2 preseason games just still 4 is too many, 2 is not enough. Yeah. We've said this for years, and it's a big problem. I don't know how the coaches deal with that either, but those are probably the 2 big things. Where are they at as a whole, and then are there new guys that have the chance to step through?
All right, Kayla, what are you hoping to watch?
The stadium grow with fans. I mean, it's exactly what Doug said as far as like players and stuff, but the anticipation grow. Like this starts off our season. I fully believe that into the Grey Cup, which is played at home. We will make history happen by winning at home.
Oh, I like this. That's wonderful. Superfan?
That's a great sentiment. I'm hoping that's just we can take that clip and play it over and over again in December. It's going to happen. Like a lot of what Doug said, I sort of watch the different units and see how they gel as a group. The first preseason game, we're going to see a lot of the vets playing the first half, and then that's it. They're not playing at all the rest of the game or even in the second preseason game. So I think it's seeing how those units play and then seeing how if any of them stands out enough that they are going to be around for the second game, because they'll be cutting a bunch of players between the first and second game.
Right.
So we will see. There's some people we're going to hope we can see playing well, so we'll be kind of watching them a lot, but that's kind of all I'm really going to look for. I don't expect to really care about the scoreboard one way or the other. It's always great when you can beat the Riders.
Yes.
But yeah, to me, it's just see how everyone's going. Hopefully they gel as a unit, and then hopefully you get a couple of guys stand out and surprise you.
All right.
Yes, this Kevin Glenn curse that is on every other team is going to be is going to be our blessing. I tell you this now, it is our victory.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna break that stupid. I don't believe in it anyway, but watch us go.
The thing that doesn't exist, it's not going to happen anyway.
Exactly. Thanks, Kevin.
That's the thing. That's wonderful. Now, you said it, Mike. Do you think that they're going to play starters in this game?
That's what Moss has said.
That they're going to start for probably a half or a quarter, and then that'll be that.
That'll be it.
Okay. And then your guys that are kind of bubble guys or whatever, that's where they're going to end up going out to
first,
to
second,
Winnipeg
third string guys get a chance.
I wouldn't want to see them go past the first with their starters.
Just to make sure they knock the rust off and get used to playing with each other.
Yeah.
Game speed is different than practice, right?
Well,
so you've got to give them some time to kind of get used to it there. So,
but not enough to get hurt.
That's
exactly. So, Kayla, Mike already said he's watching a lot of the units, but which unit are you going to be watching the closest?
Well, I said at the beginning that I'm watching the O-line. I'm definitely watching the O-line now, but I'm really excited for the defense. I'm really anticipating what they're going to bring this year.
Okay.
Someone tells me there's a little secret someone's not telling us.
Okay, perfect. I like that. Doug, which part are you going to be watching the closest in this one?
Well, I agree with Kayla, and for me it is the defense and seeing if what we saw today and what you guys would have seen yesterday, a little more aggressiveness.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we see that translate into a game, that gives me confidence that we're going to see it a little more once the season gets rolling. And I think if that's the case, I feel much better about where this team is at top to bottom than I would if we see the more passive style that we've seen in the last 2 seasons.
Young, excited blood.
And I want a returner for the first time.
Okay. That's mine. That's mine. I'm totally watching returners.
Yeah.
It just can't be that difficult to find somebody somewhere.
For us.
Well, apparently.
Everyone else seems to be like, oh, look, there's Roy James. So look.
Come on, Jamismo, you can do it.
That's right. Jamil Smismo.
Yeah, actually, he looked really good today. He did.
Yeah, he's got a good number on his back, so.
Yeah, he does. So, go Jamil. Okay.
That's right.
Super fan.
A couple of things I'm going to be watching, much like today, I'll be watching that defensive line. There's a lot of question marks still going into that. I mean, Mondo's going to be there. Probably we're going to see Serezna and Mike Moore.
Yeah, Mike Moore actually has been pretty good the last
absolutely.
few,
But then the defensive ends, outside of Bazzi and Kwaku, I mean, it seems to be pretty wide open. So there's a lot of import guys that we talked about coming in at that defensive end position. And then just sort of seeing how we're doing with our draft picks, both last year's who are in their second year for most of them and the first year guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how many of these guys can stick. We've drafted really well the last little bit. We talked about it on the last Esks history moment, some of the guys that we've drafted, especially over the last 3 or 4 years. And it'll be interesting to see if some of these guys are going to stick. I think Onyeka, like Doug had said earlier, had a pretty solid day today and yesterday.
I'm excited to see him on special teams.
And Beaulieu as well. I thought Beaulieu, the second pick we had.
Yeah.
Pretty solid day, both yesterday and today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm excited to see both of them do their own thing, but to get some special teams work in there too. I think that'll be very exciting for sure. All right, so it's our very first Pick'em of the year.
Ooh.
And because it's preseason, I think Doug might even partake. Saskatchewan versus Edmonton. Superfan. I know this is just like a coin toss because it's a preseason game, but who do you got?
Yeah, I think because we're going to be seeing our first-string guys in there, and we don't know how long, certainly no more than a half, maybe only a quarter or even less. I think we're going to see wanting to put on a really good show for our guys. We've got some great battles. And I don't know if Saskatchewan's bringing the entire contingent over because you got to bring over 90 people, or 120 if you're Saskatchewan.
That's true, yeah.
These are our baggage handlers.
They probably just have cells in each city. They just pull the front. That's probably what happens. So don't worry about it.
Right.
Cells in each city. I like that.
I'll take number 120 there from the Riders, and so I think that honestly they're going to want to do it at home. So I think we're going to be pulling out the win. For whatever the win is worth. I mean, it's 0 points in the standing. But I think that we're going to have the fans go home happy.
Yeah, I mean, again, it is a crapshoot, but I think that's true with the Eskimos. I'm not sure when the Riders' second preseason game is. I don't know if they're as convinced as we are or not. So if they have a bit more time, that probably leads to them resting more players. But I think actually watching the Riders is going to be kind of interesting. I'm curious to see how Collaros looks, and I mean the Brandon Bridge Collaros
absolutely
dynamic.
That's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean I think the Eskimos probably will go with their starters for a half, and that's probably enough to give them a win.
All right.
I was so hoping you would have asked Doug and he said, "Yeah, no, I don't pick this."
It's preseason. I can't.
That just would have been awesome.
That would have been
technically did it.
perfect
Really.
setup. Yeah, exactly.
Again, it's like you said, 50-50. And it pains me to say this, but my gut says Riders for some reason, but my heart says Eskimos.
Again, they get 0 points in the standings.
I know.
So whatever.
That's right.
So
They're going to beat us.
50-50.
I'm just kidding.
This is
Yeah,
the
exactly.
now.
I'm a 50-50, right? The gut, heart, we're good.
All right. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to pick the Eskimos just because I have to pick the Eskimos.
Yeah.
All right. So this was amazing, as always. I love having you here, Doug, to chat training camp and games and all these things. It's always a pleasure. And thank you for starting this with me 3 years ago. Like, that's crazy when I think about that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I mean, credit goes to you. You're the one that instigated it, and we had lunch at Earl's and chatted a bit about it. And I was just happy to be part of it, and glad it's been going on so long, and glad that I still got to come back a few times a year and be part of it. I'm always happy to help whenever I can. So.
You're always welcome, man. Now, where does everybody find you on the internet?
On Twitter, at Doug Mclean 15, so that's MCLEAN, after the spell, of course. Instagram, I don't even know what my Instagram, not that it matters, I'm not even sure.
I'm there somewhere.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, so Twitter is probably the best spot.
That's probably good. Webmistress.
On Twitter at Dutch Lombardi. On Instagram, you can find us at Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Wonderful. Superfan?
So close. You can find me at 56 Parkies on the Insta-webs. I'm not sure. I think I'm at Esks History, same as on Twitter for the history account.
All right, perfect. You can find me at FreePolicious on Twitter, and of course the show at Esk Empire Pod. Just want to put this out. I told UT I would let people know he is downsizing at this point and getting rid of some or all of his Eskimo stuff.
He's fine.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's healthy. There's no problem that way.
People keep always asking, "Oh my God, is he okay?"
That's the first question I get every time. Exactly. So if you're interested in that, get in touch with me. I will get you in touch with him, and he will definitely find out what he has there, and you can take care of that. So it pains me to say it. So that's why he asked me to do it a while ago, but it's taken me a while. So sorry, UT.
I've known a lot of people that get to a certain point in their life where they're like, you know what, just let's clear out some space.
Yeah.
And if that's where he is in his point in life and is like, you know what, I'm focusing on this, power to him, and obviously we wish him well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't mean we won't. We're not going to stop talking Eskimos, just so you know. I do want to say thank you again to our sponsor, United Construction Company. So make sure you check out their website at unitedconstruction.ca. And I was able to have a little walk with Jeremy from United Construction, so we can actually say, are you down with UCC?
Yeah, you know me.
Wonderful. Make sure you find us as well on all of our social channels, which you can find all the links on eskempire.ca. We are going to be back next week with more training camp analysis and, of course, the annual
Jimmy Gaines
Award with the one and only Paul Reckner. So are we ready to see some real football action on Sunday?
Absolutely.
For Doug, Webmistress Kayla, and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.